One of the byproducts of the shutdown amid the coronavirus is that recruiting has been essentially put on hold. I wanted to bring Shea Dixon on with us to kind of give us some particulars of what this means, both short and long term. Shea, thanks as always, man. How are you, dude?
I'm doing well. How are you? I'm actually celebrating a birthday today, Matt. And
Today's your
chilling
birthday?
at the house. Today, well, that's what my mom told me. So yeah, I think.
Shea, how can you possibly come on the show and not prepare me that it's your birthday?
I literally led your show off. That's like handing it to you. I just gave it to you. It's my birthday. St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day is your birthday? What a great birthday.
I have the easiest birthday to remember.
Oh, that's
hey,
so good.
Look, we grew up in a family, somewhat of Catholic school principles. My mom could not be more happy that I was born on St. Patrick's Day. Irish background, everything.
Yeah, that's so good. Dixon is is her background Irish?
She's got a bit of Irish in her background. I think my dad might have some German in his. Look, they're from South Louisiana. That's Irish, huh?
I would have never asked you to come on if I'd known it was your birthday. I'd have been like, man, go drink some good green beer or something and just have your birthday.
What else? Yeah. Well, what else am I going to do?
That's a great point.
Literally.
No, this is way better than just sitting around doing nothing. So, happy birthday. That's great to know. Yeah. Everyone go to Twitter and just
don't do that.
Bombard Shea's Twitter with happy birthday tweets. He's at Shea Dixon.
Don't do that.
Don't worry, Shea. Most people are going to misspell Shea, so it's fine. They'll never find you. Okay. So, let's start. Hell, Shea, I don't know where to start, man. Where do we start with this?
Well, we know we're at least what? I mean, if we have to put together all these different things of what the SEC says and NCAA, and now we know there's no more spring sports, but the latest from the NCAA was that they're pausing recruiting until April 15th, which is sort of a date a lot of people seem to have circled and used. But then so much we've seen the NBA, we've seen the MLB. Now, granted, all of those are putting people into big stadiums or arenas or whatever, and not quite like recruiting, but all of them have said either, look, we're going to push it back further. Baseball did. The NBA said it's very likely it's getting pushed back even further than 30 days. So they're saying April 15th will be the final day, at least for right now, of a ban on in-person recruiting, meaning you can only do it over the phone or on Skype or whatever, FaceTime, whatever you've got going. But I wouldn't be surprised if it lasted a little longer. And I would think one thing they're probably doing, Matt, because of how important we're about to hit a really important stretch. April 15th is when the NCAA's evaluation period begins, and that's when colleges get out on the road. Your spring ball is usually over with. Now it's over with for everybody. But you get out on the road and recruit. You're going to high schools. You're checking out guys, working out, all that. But high schools, are they all going to be out? I mean, is nobody going to be back in school this semester? Is everybody going online, even at the high school level? And if that's the case, you can't go watch them work out. They're not going to be practicing football. So it's interesting. I mean, I have as many answers as you do right now, which is not many, and just kind of every day seems to be a little bit of new news. But we do know for a fact that for 30 days, until April 15th, no recruiting, and it may last longer than that.
So I didn't understand that staffs could still have contact, just not in-person contact. So what is Ed Ogeron and his staff doing? And is there a limit on the amount of contact that you can have?
There is not, and look, I don't think anybody's coming down heavy-handed on anybody who's having contact right now, largely because we're in a period where normally you can be having as much contact as you want. Kids can come to campus. You can talk to them on the phone whenever. A couple of years ago, it wasn't too long into the dual signing periods, they got rid of, or they started to allow you could text whenever, you could text them and you didn't have to just DM them on social media or something. I mean, when Twitter blew up, it was the loophole for a lot of coaches. And then eventually they just said, okay, look, you can call them, text them, whatever. I'm looking at, let me see, 1, 2, 3. I can do a quick math in my head. That looks like about 15. So from talking to a couple of people in the past 24 hours, it looks like Orgeron and LSU staff talked to between 45 and 60 kids. Wow. And that are, whether they're juniors in high school right now, which would be your current cycle, 2021, the guys that you just signed in February are seniors. And so then it's juniors. It looks like sophomores, but either way. And Scott Woodward talked about this, and I had already heard this was the case, but he knew the answer right away. So, he's pretty tied into football, even when a million things are happening for him, that FaceTime, Skype, all that. And then so look, I'm having face-to-face contact with you. It's not in person, but I can chat with you and your parents, and pretty much everybody has some sort of access to whether it's a computer doing Skype or FaceTime on your phone or just a phone call. But think about it this way too, Matt, and I'll paint it out, I guess, the best I can. If I'm in high school right now and everybody's recruiting me, I wake up, I don't talk to any coaches before I go to school. I get on the bus or drive to school or whatever, and 8 to 3 o'clock. And then at 3, I go to workouts. And then after that, I go to football practice or, whatever. Basketball was going on. Track was going on for a lot of guys. Finally, I'm wrapped up and it's 7 o'clock and I get home and I eat. Then I do a little homework and it's already 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I mean, this sounds like any parent out there who's got a kid playing sports. This is about what your daily routine is. So now it's 8:30, 9 o'clock in. All right, let me return these calls to coaches. I got to call Coach O back. I got to call my position coach at Bama back. I got to do, all these different things. These kids are sitting at home with nothing to do now. So college coaches I've talked to said it's easier than ever to get them. I can just hit them at 9 in the morning. What are you doing? Nothing. I'm just sitting here. Well, same here. Let's talk about your future. It's not fun to sit around the house, is it? How about continuing your education and playing sports in college? So I think almost in a way, they're having the ability now to recruit these kids almost more than ever because kind of in the scenario I laid out to you, in the spring, these kids are tied up from 8 to 8 o'clock at night. Right now, they're not doing anything.
Interesting. Shea Dixon's with us. He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon, and it is his birthday. By the way, on Twitter, Mark Lake said, "Happy birthday, Shea." SHAY.
And see, that was the subtlety of it was good.
It was beautiful because he tagged you and me both in the tweet. So
yeah, so
he intentionally misspelled Shea. So good on him. That is quite good.
Yeah.
So Shea, something else that often happens though. I mean, we saw this with Burrow a couple of years ago. Guys go through spring. Sometimes you lose out on a job. Guys shake. Transfer market shakes up after spring football. No spring football. How does that affect the transfer market?
I did not think about that until you see, man, putting our minds together. This is what we do here.
How about that, Shea?
All right, let me give you my immediate reaction to
Okay.
that, and you can tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
So you would think
I will.
I don't know maybe which way you're leaning. I'll just give you what I'm thinking.
All right.
Maybe coaches often can use spring ball, and let's just say a quarterback. And me and you are battling here, and you're using a Joe Burrow, for example. Well, if the coach, even if he feels like, hey, we're riding Moscona, but we like Shea a lot. We definitely don't want him to leave. What happens if Moscona ends up sucking or gets hurt? We need him. Let's let them split the reps. They'll both feel like they're in it, and we'll just say this is going into fall camp. Well, now with none of that, I would think that the person in my situation would think, all right, I already knew they kind of liked him more. I didn't get any spring practices, and now I'm supposed to sit around here and just hope that I can beat him out in fall camp. And if I don't, I'm sort of stuck. Maybe more kids would be quicker to leave now because they didn't get a chance to compete in spring ball, as opposed to maybe they did. They would have said, hey, look, maybe I'm more in this than I thought or whatever it might be. So that's my immediate reaction. I can't say for sure. It's obviously probably pretty case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
But I would think that maybe this hurts the colleges that were hoping to, hey, look, let's create some competition and maybe nobody leaves.
What about a guy like Jabril Cox, a linebacker from North Dakota State, who was, Shea, he was supposed to be coming to Baton Rouge.
He was on his way.
Like last weekend.
Yeah.
He was coming here. So what happens with a guy like that?
Yeah, he's got to just hold off and wait. And right now he is graduating this spring from North Dakota State, I believe is what he's doing. So he was already going to be there. Now I guess he might be doing online courses or whatever so that he can then be immediately eligible, right? Well, he was going to come to LSU. He was about to be on his way, getting on his flight to come down here. And then the SEC announced that recruiting had been suspended. And he says, well, I'm going to visit an SEC school. Well, then the NCAA announced that, well, I can't go visit anywhere. So he said he's kind of just hanging and waiting. And it's obviously unprecedented, but it's a good point. I mean, you're so good at your job, Matt. We're unearthing all these different areas that are being affected. He thought that, hey, look, I played at North Dakota State. I've won all these championships. This is my chance. I'm going to take a look at, I don't have to worry about spring football practices. I can buckle down in school, take my visits, be done with it, show up somewhere June 1st, and let's roll. well, now what? Like you said, what happens? What if he can't visit in April? What if it's only in May? And I think for him, it's going to be, I may have to trust what these coaches are saying over the phone a lot more than I did originally, getting down and being there in person and seeing everything, because once he might finally get that chance, it's going to be like, boom, boom, like you've got to make a decision, man. This is, we're already rolling in summer workouts down here or wherever he would choose. So, yeah, that's another thing is a kid like that who's a grad transfer who thought, I'm done. I don't have to do any spring football anyways, and that doesn't affect me. But now you don't even get to go visit anywhere right when he was about to go visit too, is interesting. And look, there's a couple of kids, a quarterback, Ty Thompson, who's been one of their top quarterback targets, and a couple of other kids that weren't even really associated with LSU. But I've counted 4 or 5 of them who visited a school like last Monday to Thursday. Everything got shut down. They were coming up on a spring decision, had other visits left, and just committed and said, look, okay, I liked my visit. I'm not going to be able to visit anywhere else, so I'm going to go ahead and get this done and commit now. So I think that some schools are kind of getting left out in the cold here, obviously. We thought we were going to be hosting all these kids in the spring. We've got these 2 signing days now. That makes the spring all the more paramount. And now we're not getting them to campus at all, especially if they're not from Louisiana. This quarterback they liked was from Arizona, and he went all the way up to Oregon, for a couple of days in the middle of last week and said, all right, I'm going to visit LSU after and whoever else, and then I'll make a decision. And he visits Oregon. They shut things down, the NCAA does, and he says, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger and commit to Oregon. So some of these kids who said, oh, look, the rug kind of got pulled out from under me are going ahead and saying, all right, I'm going to commit to the school I felt most comfortable with that I did get to see.
Oh, trying times. He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon. It is his birthday. You can read his stuff at go247.com. Of course, GEAUX247.com. Shea, I suspect that there will be more to talk about in the coming days, weeks, months, as it pertains to the recruiting calendar. But in the meantime, go drink a green beer, have an awesome birthday, and we appreciate your time as always, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on. This is the first time I talked to anyone all day, not in the house, so this is fun.
Good. Hey, well, if you want to call back tomorrow, just call us. We'll talk to you anytime.
Just call in.
Just call in. We'll talk to you.
I got Musso's number.
Yeah, you got the hotline. Just call the hotline.
That'll work.
All right, Shea. We'll see you, man. Thanks.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, man. We'll see. That's Shea Dixon of Go 24/7.